But that
Yeah,
was,
because
but I separate them because it's not about me. It's objectively, that was a great scene. It's
yeah,
like a
and
great fucking iconic scene.
it was. And my only issue with Dolores was I wish, because I used to be a tree hugger, I really wish she would like, be more on this side, but whatever. So anyway, that was a really like classic part. Um, what we saw there, it was it's like a picture, like frame it. It's so amazing. But anyway, okay, the finale, they're at Rails, they're having their lunch. I think I already touched on the fact that there was a lot of fighting back and forth between Danielle, and this will be on your Patreon as well. But I could
Which
spill a little here.
everyone needs to go and sign up for. But yes, let's spell a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it. So there's a lot of back and forth between Danielle, and a lot of people have asked, like, what is it? Well, Jennifer told me that they were getting into it in regards to like who attends parties and stuff. Like Jennifer had mentioned something like Danielle was trying to tell me that my parties are empty, like something petty like that, right? Like no one goes to my parties. And then Jennifer was telling her the same thing. And she was talking about how your children, like something about one of the parties that I think it was the first communion.
This is what
Danielle,
Jennifer said about Danielle.
yeah, that she was saying, oh, nobody was at your kid's first communion party or something like that. Like she threw something out there about her children, and that Danielle lost her shit. And she was like, what the fuck? Like, don't fucking talk about my kids. And that Jennifer was like, I'm not saying anything about your kids. I'm saying no one was at that party. Like they're just being petty, going back and forth. But then Jennifer decides to throw a dig at Danielle. She says something like, well, you wear the bra and your husband has the boobs. And that really set off Danielle Cabral, because what a lot of people didn't know was that something was leaked that Nate Cabral had a surgery, a gynecomastia surgery, to like reduce the size of his chest or something. And which I do think Jennifer Aydin leaked that to someone to stick out in the internet. And so Jennifer says that comment about her wearing the bra and her husband having the boobs. And then that really set off Danielle. So she ends up grabbing the pitcher of water or tea, I don't remember. Anyway, she grabs it. There's condensation on the thing. So it kind of like she flings it to Jennifer, but it slips out of her hands. And then Jennifer's salad plate gets all over her and her drink goes all over the place. And at that point, Jennifer's like looking at producers, pointing to the door, and she's like, get her the fuck out of here. I want her the fuck out. And Danielle was like, I'm not going nowhere. I don't give a fuck if I'm fired. Like she starts going off herself. And then Teresa turns towards Danielle and she's like, I don't like that. She just did that to her. And then Melissa Gorga jumps in and she's like, well, she learned from the best. And then Teresa turns to Melissa and says, you're a whore. Like, shut up, whore. She calls her name. And then Margaret doesn't like the fact that she's calling Melissa that. So then Margaret jumps in and then Teresa goes at it with Margaret for a second. And then she does, I remember very clearly Teresa saying she told Margaret that you've got like a bigger problem with your husband. He needs to keep his hands to himself. And the reason why Teresa said that to Margaret, so Teresa told me that during this finale for season 14, she wanted Laura Jensen to sit at the bar at Rails
Margaret's
with,
ex best friend, who we've had on our Patreon here. Yes, go
yes,
on.
Teresa said Jim had an idea that Laura Jensen and her Brazilian wax beauty friend who owns that store, they were going to sit at the bar at Rails while these girls were over here filming, and that Laura was supposed to walk up to Margaret and go off on her. And they wanted Laura to like come for Margaret's husband. So when Teresa said that to Margaret, that was like the only thing she had to fight with her over, because Teresa didn't have a storyline in regards to Margaret other than the stuff with Louis and Vanessa. But she didn't really want to touch on that. So she ended up throwing something out there that they wanted Laura to originally throw. So she says that, but people did not know that Jim Leonard was planning to have Laura show up. And thank God, Laura, you know, she was really smart in making the decision that she did not want to partake in that,
So
which I commend her.
First of all, I mean, Jim does not control Bravo. Like, who does he think he is? Like, I don't even know, could that have worked? Would that have gotten on air? Like, I don't think they really want Laura on the show, to be honest with you. Like, how
Yeah,
would
well,
we
I do know
explain
that
that in the
Teresa,
finale? We've never even seen her on the camera before, other than flashbacks.
I do know that. Yeah, I don't know how that was going to work, but I do know that Teresa said that Jim didn't even tell Sirens that he was planning on having Laura there, so they didn't even know that that's what they were planning. But Laura decided that I don't want to do that, and she didn't end up going. So Teresa
Wow.
ended up throwing that comment out there, and I don't know what that was in regards to, but who knows? With them, like I know a lot of
So
stuff
they
that they
asked
say.
Laura, and then Laura just decided like why I'm living my life. Like, why would I get back
Yeah,
involved in this
Teresa
toxicity?
said that. Teresa said that she had tried to talk Laura to going, but Laura didn't want to do it.
Well, that's a smart decision by Laura.
Yeah. Well, then back to the fighting. So they're all going crazy. And, so Jennifer did say at the end of it all, producers wanted them all to come and sit down again together. And
Hmm.
that Jennifer was acting like a queen. She was like, you should have seen me. It was like I was the queen. And I was like, okay, she can sit at my table. So she let her come back. So then they all sat back down. And I don't know how it ended because I didn't ask past that. But um,
So
so
that's
that
what the whole thing, this scene with Dolores, the godmother of New Jersey, sitting there iconic. It was all over Jennifer saying no one came to your kid's party and your husband had a breast reduction surgery.
Yeah, she
Gotta
said,
come ask
you
you.
wear the bra, he has the boobs or some shit. Yeah. Something petty and stupid. But again, with Jennifer, just like Teresa, they like to say, don't poke the bear, but they want you to poke them because they need the storyline. They need the fight. They need to be relevant. They need the action revolving around them. And another thing too, like the Tipsy and Tulum party at Teresa's, when Danielle and Jennifer get into it, I can hop on your pod closer
You're
to
gonna
that
have to
episode.
come back. First, we're gonna have to release this mini episode. Then we're gonna have to release this big recording,
Oh
which you
yeah.
and I have already
Oh
done.
yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
needs
And
to
you know
join the
what?
Patreon. But yes, you also need to come back this season because it seems like you know a lot of spoilers. But go on.
No, I was just gonna say that the Patreon is gonna have some bombshells, guys. That
We
is
already
gonna have.
recorded it, you guys. Trust me, it goes on forever. It's gonna be two parts. It's a lot of tea.
Yeah, yeah. And then again, I have receipts to back it up too.
And what were you gonna say about coming back on to a spoiler when something happens, the
Oh, the
Tulum
tipsy and
party?
Tulum. Another thing, like there was a lot of fights back and forth between Danielle and Jennifer, where Jennifer made it very clear to me that she did not like the fact that Teresa doesn't back her. I mean, Danielle did. Jennifer told me she had the cup. So at the Tipsy and Tulum, we can get further detail in regards to this closer to the episode, but real quick. So Jennifer told me that. So here comes Danielle, they're going back and forth, and Danielle has this cup with a drink, and her and Jennifer are going at it. They're talking about how, oh, I hear you're talking about me, and they're just going back and forth and fighting. Jennifer goes, I remember she put her drink down, Gabriella, and I grabbed it because I thought she was going to throw it in my face. And I start walking away, and Danielle's like, where are you going with my drink? And then they're just going back and forth. Well, it ends up getting her drink back in her hand. And she goes, all of a sudden, she just bam, she whacks me in the side by my ear with the cup. But she goes, I was in her face though, Gabriella. But when she told me that, I was like, I get it. That no wonder she fucking hit you because you were in her face. Trust me, if someone's in my space and I felt her in, I'm hitting you. You back up, right? So